Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight, but this time we're not safe and sound. Not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the FPV News with JB and ItsBlunty. How you doing, Blunty?
Good, Joshua. How's it going today?
Very good, very good. I'm very glad to be here with all the hot topics from this week of FPV news. And I want to thank you. You're the one who actually puts most of them together. You and our viewers who send suggestions to news@fpvknowitall.com. And
Yeah.
I just sort of show up at 5:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm like, what do we got?
Yeah. And this week we got some good ones, for sure.
We do. We do. And we're going to talk about what some of those good ones are. But first, I want to say hello to you beautiful people out in the chat. Hello, chat. Mads Tech, very good to see you there, my friend. Very good to see everybody here. We will be keeping an eye on your chats during the stream, although this is not a Q&A stream. We will be always paying attention to your feedback and issues. Like Joey Whitaker talking here about the M4Q. We got a piece of news about the ToolkitRC. Is it the M4Q, Blunty?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Is it good news or bad news? Ooh, I'm going to hold my breath.
Yeah, it's bad news. It's anybody who reads the title of this stream might understand it's bad news.
From ToolkitRC, they've got such a reputation for quality.
Well, they definitely have a reputation.
Ha! That's good. We almost like we rehearsed that. In addition, we're going to talk about a new resource I came up with. This is what I do late at night when I am, just sitting, waiting for my kid to fall asleep. I get on Google Drive and I come up with a spreadsheet that helps you size your LiPo charger. So we're going to take a look at that.
Yeah, good stuff. We're also going to take a look at the longest one-nest flight we've ever seen. We took a look at one a while back that was a 4-mile trip out. So we've got one that's a little bit farther. This time we'll take a quick look at the longest one I've ever seen. So if you see one longer, distance-wise, let us know.
It's the longest anyone's gone on the smallest. There's a dick joke. I'm trying to get there. Longest, smallest. Well, anyway, I'm 13 kilometers. And there's been a new announcement from Fettec about a new high-speed motor protocol, and we will see if it is going to revolutionize the motor, blah, 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 or if it's just marketing. I don't think we'll solve that question today, but we'll at least start to talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get into this, I also want to say thank you to the beautiful people over here on the right side of my screen who are my patrons. If you want to help support the work that we do here, then you can join my Patreon for as little as $2 a month or more. If you feel like I've earned it, it's totally up to you. There's a link down below. And one of the benefits is you get to hang out with these beautiful people over here on my Discord server. And another benefit, as IDV is mentioning here, is that I post the audio of all of my live streams, including the news, as podcasts. It's always delayed by a week or two because that's just how long these takes me to do these things. But if you'd like to listen to podcasts instead of watch live streams, that is a benefit of being a patron. So let's get into it, Blunty. What is our first? We're going to start this week with a couple of PSAs because we want to get those out of the way so people don't miss them.
Yeah, I figure if people are going to come and check something out, I want them to at least get the info. So if something's broken or weird or whatever, we can let them know. So the first one this week, the NaminmoRC OLED module, the new Flash OLED module TX. This is an ExpressLRS module. Looks like it has a hardware issue. This isn't too big of a deal, but we did want to let people know. This prevents you from using the backpack feature, which we've talked about previously. So the backpack is like where you can hook up to your VRX module for analog, and then you can also have it, connect to your quad through the backpack in that TX module, and then it all can kind of talk to each other.
I wonder if we could find a picture of the Naminmo OLED module. I don't think it's for sale, so I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to find that module. Is there you know where there's a picture anywhere handy, Plenty?
Yeah, let me see if I can grab you one.
Is this it? The Naminmo Flash, that's what they're calling it. I see it slightly on AliExpress. No.
I think they're calling the new one the Flash as well.
Now, there we go. Here's a picture of it. So in case you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, this is the Naminmo is a manufacturer of ExpressLRS modules and receivers. I've never heard of them before now, but they actually make what in my opinion has been one of the best of the many. Of course, it's a fast-moving landscape, and this is their new module with OLED on it. Now, Blunty, it doesn't affect the normal functioning of like flying your quad. It only affects the FPV backpack function where you control your video transmitter by soldering it directly to your receiver.
Yes. Yep, pretty much. And so we wanted to get this out there, let people know about this. So in case they are worried about using that backpack, they can contact the person they sold it from and then get that, that order canceled for them to get new stock. Currently, all the stock that people have is going to be the stock that has the backpack problems. But they are working. One of the reasons that it's caught now instead of a bunch of people getting it and then a month later us hearing about this is because Naminmo has been working with the devs and sending them TX modules and communicating constantly about this. So they released this announcement publicly on the ExpressLRS Facebook as soon as they found out about this. They're being extremely transparent. You saw in the screenshots we showed, they explain exactly why it's happening. They even go into pretty heavy detail there, and they're working with the devs to address that as much as they can. So.
And this is kind of going to bookend the live stream this week because we're going to close with a rant about Beta FPV's ExpressLRS hardware. Those who know Beta FPV could guess where this is going, but it certainly is something to keep in mind, which is that unlike when you buy a FrSky receiver, a Crossfire receiver, a Ghost receiver, there is one company, one entity from top to bottom who is responsible for the quality and the design of that. And so that is just not true. ExpressLRS, I think, is more akin to Betaflight. When you buy a Betaflight flight controller, you don't assume that the Betaflight developers had any insight into whether it's been done right or not. It's open source and anyone can do it. And some manufacturers like Naminmo, and like I've also heard Happy Model is very good about this. They work very closely with the devs. They give them the hardware. The devs look at the hardware and go, oh, no, you need to do this differently. And then when there are issues, they sort it out quickly. And other manufacturers have a little more of a, hey, let's just put it out there reputation. And you should definitely be aware of that. You can't just buy an ExpressLRS module and assume that it will be made to any level of quality.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So then just
More
know
about-
what you're buying and stuff. But one of the good things here, though, is like we said, that they're working with them. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a company who's going to be active with stuff, it looks like, they're going to be constantly active with the devs. So that's positive.
Well, speaking of people who put hardware out there without doing proper quality control, our second PSA.
Yeah, and so this one is going to come from a live stream that CycloneFPV did. This is going to remind you a lot of an old story we did about AU line, all line, gold line.
Gold line. Yeah,
battery.
CycloneFPV is like the good guy of FPV lately. They're a dealer, so they get this stuff and then they test it.
Yeah, he was reached out to by one of his customers. He bought this charger. He took it home, and it was not working properly. It would not let him charge. And so he was like, "All right, let's do this on stream because that's what we do here." So he threw it on stream, and you can see, like, I think this is the second one he pulled out. But basically, this is the same symptom. There's nothing plugged into the port, and you're getting voltage, and then it's reading the incorrect voltage on both the balance port and the lead. But he basically, in the stream, he goes through and cuts open the boxes for 10 of these.
And this is
brand new.
this is retail units that CycloneFPV purchased to sell
his
to their
shelf.
customers.
Yeah, exactly.
He is eating these. Well, I mean, presumably he's going to try to get ToolkitRC to take them back. So hopefully he doesn't eat them. But worth saying, some stores would just have a lot of stores, their policy is if you get a bad product, you just accept the fact that in FPV sometimes products are bad, and we're going to just send you another one, no questions asked. And that's fine. That's fine if you have a flight controller, maybe. Like I mean JBF7s do not have a 0% defect rate. And so sometimes you put a JBF7 on your quad and it has a bad gyro. And then you go to race day quads and they give you another one and they say, sorry for the inconvenience. And that's a fact. But with LiPo chargers, I feel like that's like, oh, sorry, your LiPo charger lit your battery on fire. To be clear, we're not saying that happened in this specific case, but hypothetically, if a LiPo charger's messed up, it certainly could. And CycloneFPV did the right thing on a live stream where they had everything to lose.
Yeah, so there's a few things to say. A couple people are saying they're uncalibrated, but I should not have to calibrate 8 volts off of an XT60 connector when I pull a charger out of the box. That's freaking insane.
No, 8 volts, forget it.
Yeah, but so let me also say, like, he went through all of these. All 10 were bad in some way. They all had some issue or another. One had a balance lead that was actually not soldered and the pin would push in. Multiple of them had balance leads that were not giving proper voltage. They were 1 or 2 volts, under. A couple of them had those XT60s with 8 or more volts that were off. And then there were also stuff like 2 or 3 of them didn't power on at all. One of them LCD did not work. One of them only worked on DC voltage. It's just like it was a variety of issues across these. And I think that's the biggest issue here. If this was one problem where all the first pin on the first balance port didn't get soldered on all these chargers. Well, okay, but that's like a QC check you missed, right?
Right.
If all these problems are here, like, to me, that's a huge, that's like totally different. And that means there's a bunch of pieces missing.
Chad Rains FPV says, and of course we have no way of validating this claim, but Chad Rains FPV says, I also sell these M4Q and they have been terrible. I opened 2 of them. The PCB design is a joke. Revisions all over, and currently 7 of the 8 I sold have failed. Mr. Huggy in the Discord posts this image, which he says is a calibrated charger, and if you look, B3 is way off, right? And Blunty, when we hear a story like this, obviously we wouldn't be responsible journalists. We're not journalists. We wouldn't be responsible content creators if we just took one report and then we were like, ToolkitRC, and just. But this goes all the way back to the very first ToolkitRC charger, which I don't remember the model number, the M6D or the M8 or something, which had crazy problems exactly like this. Miscalibrated, balance lead reads wrong, just dies. And so ToolkitRC does not have this, they don't even have a neutral reputation. They have, I find this 1000% plausible.
Yeah, and one of the problems here is like the last place you want to see this happen, obviously there are safeties in there, but obviously the last place you want to see this happen is on a charger. You know, luckily the voltages are higher than expected instead of lower, so it can't it doesn't seem like it can overcharge, but some of the balances are lower, and if they all happen to be too low, you know, could think they're all low enough, you know, hopefully there's no way for you to accidentally break something with one of these chargers, even though they're so poorly made. But I don't know that there's any way to confirm that, and it's just dangerous.
Right.
It's scary to me. Like a flight controller is a quad's going to drop out of the sky, you know, an ESC,
which is bad. Which is bad. To be fair, that's bad.
Which is bad. Yeah, but a charger is like a battery is going to get overcharged in my house, you know.
Yeah.
And
now,
or on the back porch or wherever you're charging. Like you should be charging safely, but watching it, you could still see. Like if the voltage isn't reading properly, how do you know it's out of spec and stuff? Like there's all these pieces to this puzzle.
Right. And we have to acknowledge that there are people in the chat who are saying, "I've had a ToolkitRC charger. It's been great." And the thing is, with any product, most of the people who get the product will have a good result, probably. Now, I mean, CycloneFPV says 10 out of 10 were bad. Maybe they're having a particularly bad run of luck right now, but the fact that some people, or even the majority of people, have a good experience when you're talking about a LiPo charger that theoretically could light a battery on fire by overcharging it.
Yeah.
What are the odds that you're okay with? Is it 5%? Is it 1%? Right. Is it 0.1%? What defect rate is acceptable to you? And I think for a charger, the defect rate has to be very, very low. So ToolkitRC, I actually checked before the live stream, Blunty. ToolkitRC, one of their chargers is on my shopping list. I will be pulling it off. And I feel like this is there's too many good choices I don't know how they can redeem their reputation.
Yeah. I mean,
to me.
Prove that they're doing any QC at all, because the issue is, again, that there's multiple problems. If there was one or two problems, but these that don't power on when you plug them in, you know, when the LCD doesn't work, that's kind of a different level of this is broken. And to me, that means there's no QC. So yeah, I think it's hard to redeem when you're not doing anything to check your products when they go out the door.
Yeah. Jory in the Discord, I am on the fence about whether to discuss your personal experience with the owner of CycloneFPV, because it's not entirely relevant to whether the chargers made by ToolkitRC are good or bad. I feel like a balance that I'm willing to strike is to say that I have heard 2 or 3 reports from customers of CycloneFPV who said that they had a personally awful experience trying to get a dispute handled, including some unprofessional behavior by the owner. I can't vouch for any of that, and I will say, tell you is,
most of that stuff is live streamed. If you want to get an idea of how he is, watch his live streams. You can immediately see. Yeah. He goes through and he will if somebody RMAs a product, if somebody returns a charger, or somebody returns a radio. So a lot of times he will open it on camera, look at that, and then kind of cover it and say hey, here's what I think's wrong with it. Here, let's go through this drone. I'll plug it into Beta Flight in front of you. Let's see what's wrong. Yeah. And then he tries to make that decision on camera a lot of times. I think my opinion of the situation is that he does the best he can to support his customers, but he does not just take shit back. Right. And a lot of retailers will just take shit back or push stuff onto the end company. You know,
I mean, I don't want to make this about him personally. I feel like I will say I agree with you that the things he's doing on live stream are indisputably good for FPV and good for his customers. Yeah. I think that some of the messages I've seen I would call unprofessional, but not everybody's desire. I mean, if you go to a construction site, you're going to hear some unprofessional language, and if he has a dispute with you, he may not behave in a professional manner, and maybe you're okay with that. Some people aren't. Anyway.
Yeah. I think I just want to say one more thing. There's 2 different pieces to this. One is professionalism, and 2 is actually doing the right thing for the customer and whether the product was bad or not. Okay. He may not be professional, but I do believe he is handling each thing properly as it should be handled. From everything that I've seen, everything that I've covered, and everyone I've talked to, that's been the case.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, all right, fair enough. Enough said about that. I don't want to. The reason I mention it at all is I don't want to get in a situation where I'm just blowing smoke about somebody without acknowledging sometimes that there's a flip side to it, but at the same
Sure.
time, you know, I don't want to get into interpersonal drama either.
Sure.
Anyway, ToolkitRC, your Chargers, you're on probation. You're not on probation. You're on, what is it? Probation. You're not, I'm not, I don't like you. I don't like your Chargers anymore.
You're banned.
Well, ban suggests it's forever. And I guess that's too strong of a word.
Yeah.
Probation suggests that you're still playing the game. You're benched. You're benched. You're on the bench, ToolkitRC. I want to see some hustle and practice. We'll think about putting you back in, maybe next season. Okay.
All right.
Well, speaking of Chargers, Blunty, I decided to tackle the question of how big of a charger do you need? And it turns out there's some, because I'm working on like updating my charger recommendations, and there's some math that I always do when I decide whether a charger is going to be big enough for me. And the problem is that there's like 3 or 4 different calculations, and you basically have to take the least of them to decide what's limiting your charger size. So I came up with this spreadsheet, and the link is in the video description. I want to say no one has checked my math on this yet.
True.
So I think it's right, but I would love it if anyone out there who actually understands what the hell is going on here would double check my math before I just put this out to, well, I guess I am putting it out to the world. But
If it's wrong,
basically,
this will be edited to be corrected when somebody tells us.
I can't do that. I can't edit a video after producing it.
Not the video. I mean
Like
the link
the
to the
spreadsheet. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mads Tech, if you feel like doing the math, go for it. Yeah, so basically you put your battery information in here, right? You put your charger. Actually, can I zoom in here? Can I zoom in? Let me zoom in. Hang on. You put the watt and the amp rating of your charger here, and then you put information about your power supply here, 12 volts, 200 watts. And then you put the input amp rating of your charger, which many chargers don't publish that spec, and then your efficiency rating of your power supply. And based on all of those things, it calculates these outputs, right? And then what I also am going to do, what I thought I would do eventually, is make a paragraph here, a sort of a procedurally generated paragraph that tells people what to do. You know, should you get a larger power supply? Do you need a larger charger, etc.? So that is, if the math is correct, I feel like that's a really useful resource. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the
Absolutely.
math based on XT60 or XT30? Neither. We assume that the battery comes with a connector that is sized appropriately for what the battery can output.
Also, I think it's kind of hard to do that because you have like heat load over time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So most people are probably going to find, well, I don't know. I don't know. But there you go. Based on the battery you want to charge, is your charger going to be able to do it? And it also tells you how long will it take you to finish charging your battery. If you want to charge as fast as possible, which is not always a good idea. So that's out there. And if anybody wants to check the math, you can look at the formulas. You can check the math. And if I've got it wrong, definitely let me know. But there you go. Link in the video description. Alrighty.
All right.
What do we got next, Blunty?
All right, let's take a look at what I believe is the longest 1S flight that anybody's done, the farthest distance anyway. I did some searching around and looking. This appears to be the current record that I could find on an 18650 LiPo, 4.3 miles out and then back. So 7 kilometers out and back.
He's smoking too. He's not going slow. Yeah. We got speed 33 kilometers per hour. That's it's something.
I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean 14 kilometers. I'm sorry. It says 14 kilometers. 4.3 miles. Wait, huh?
7 kilometers is 4.3 miles, but he went there and back, so it's 14.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes, yeah, like I said, I'm so good at math. We're not going to watch this whole video because, like all long-range videos, it's completely boring. basically all you need to see is this number in the upper right, which is distance to home, just getting further and further. And then eventually he turns around and comes home. Yes, Mad Max FPV, this is on a single 18650 cell. Does he say what cell he used? It's got to be a really good quality cell.
He's got a build guide for this. If you hit show more down there, you can find the link to RC groups, and then his video, his build guide video, and he's got a list of all the parts there as well. So it's a nice. Sony VTC6.
Yeah, I was going to say that's would have been one of my top guesses for which cell it was. That's one of the best. Running it down to 2.2 volts. I mean, that's lower than the nominal. The 2.5, I think, is the lowest you're really supposed to do that. But, he broke a record.
Pulled it in like right at the end.
Yeah, I want to see the end where he's like... So there are two things I want to see. One is where he's at max range. So here he's getting close. He's already reading low battery at 3.0 volts, but of course an 18650 can go much lower than that. Betaflight's just hasn't been given the information. And he's at 6.4 kilometers on 400 milliwatts. That's a really good video for 400 milliwatts, isn't it?
Yeah, he actually makes a comment. He has a comment down there that's like, "Hey, everybody says this is a good video, so just so you know, just get a good video receiver and put a good patch on there. Everything's going to be fine."
Yeah, part of it is the altitude, and I don't know that he has altitude on screen. Most of the time when people do this, they don't show their altitude because they're flying higher than they're supposed to. Because the higher you fly, the more clear your RF line of sight is, and that helps with the video. A lot of people don't take into account just how much our line of sight is obstructed and how big of an effect that is when we fly under sort of more normal circumstances. Oh, is he coming home? He's coming home now. There you go. Really impressive. How dead is the battery at the end? Let's take a look. That's my other favorite part of these. 2.5, that's fine for an 18650. Why is he blurring out this part? Does he not want people to know where he is?
Yeah, probably just identification of the area.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I mean, technically, there's no way this flight's legal. Is it in the USA?
I have no idea.
Oh. Don't show those GPS coords, am I right, baby? Theoretically, this isn't in the USA. Therefore, theoretically, this is legal. You never know.
Nondescript quad location.
Bite me, FAA. He says, not me. I would never say something so disrespectful. 2.5. 2.5. So 2.5 volts for a lithium ion is about, these 18650s, that's about where you are done. That's like 3.0 for a LiPo. Now it's sagging out. Oh yeah, no, he's fine. He could fly a little longer. That's mighty impressive. Mighty impressive. Well, there you go.
All right. If anybody's got a longer flight, let me know. Or if they want to try one, we'll definitely show it.
Yeah. Must have had a 5-volt regulator to keep everything working, because nothing on a quad will work at 2.5 volts. So it's got to step up.
For sure.
Archimedes says he's in the UK. He's friends with Painless 360. Alrighty. Well, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
All right. So we're going to talk about KISS. Uh-oh.
What?
It's KISS time. We just
because
never
people are going to...
Yeah.
Because the last time we talked about KISS, we hated on the G4.
Maybe a little bit. And also, we gotta also make sure we get the nomenclature right. So
KISS, Fettec, etc.
FC, Ultra, all those names in.
Felix. I've been working my KISS flashcards to make sure I know who everybody is. I'll say it, Blunty. You said before the stream that you didn't want people to think that we were giving the wrong impression. So this is a case where I'll say the thing that you feel conservative. A lot of times it goes the other way. When the KISS G4 came out, one of the arguments they made was that it could run peripherals faster. And I said, and I think you agreed, who gives a crap? It's not like anything we're doing. We run Dshot 1200, Dshot 2400. It's not like our UART speed or our peripheral speed is holding us back. And I said, that's just a marketing bullet point, and I don't think there's a compelling reason there. And I said, show me something that will take advantage of these faster peripheral speeds, and then I'll believe that there's a benefit to the G4. And I feel like maybe Fettec is doing that now.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just not 100% clear how well it'll be backported. So I don't want to like get too hasty about only G4. But I do think
Right.
the G4 was the big primer for doing this change. But basically, Felix with Fettec has created a new protocol, a new ESC protocol. Felix was originally a big part of Dshot, and now he has released a new ESC protocol that you can use on your Fettec with the new alpha that they have. And this is called S2M. And S2M, the idea behind S2M, currently we use PWM to communicate to our ESCs from the flight controller, right? So we have Dshot, and the Dshot packets are being sent, but those are just PWM packets, like, up, down, but it's all PWM still. Instead, he's created a digital signal that actually is sending a digital throttle, digital throttle value over 3 8-bit bytes. And that will have a 12-bit actual throttle resolution to the ESC, so it knows exactly what you're trying to send it. And also, it's going to send it twice, so it can't get messed up.
Yeah, really slick.
And then not only that, but he's rolled in telemetry back the other way, because it's a bidirectional protocol. So on the same line, it can send back telemetry, up to 8 pieces of telemetry. Currently, it's only got 4, but there's room to grow there.
So you no longer need a separate telemetry wire, which is how
Yes.
BLHeli has always done. Well, no, that's not true. BLHeli currently does bidirectional Dshot, which carries RPM information, but nothing else. But they're implementing full telemetry.
Yeah, how this will work is basically RPM for each of the motors, and then 1 telemetry will go each packet, and then they just like round robin each of the telemetry, similar to how
that makes sense.
DLRS does it. And then also, it also supports redundancy. So if you really care about the ESC protocol, for some reason, if you're worried about that, you can actually run now S2M and 1 wire at the same time. So you run 2 wires to your ESC from your flight controller, and you've got redundancy on all those motors. So that's kind of an interesting thing that they can do now, like as a fallback sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. This is pretty interesting, and I think it makes a lot of sense to turn everything digital. There's not a lot of reason to do PWM that can be interfered with, when you can CRC everything and actually like confirm.
Dshot is technically a digital protocol, but it's using PWM signals to represent the digital ones and zeros.
Yeah.
And this is digital all the way down to the sort of signaling, if you will.
Yeah.
Is that the takeaway?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah, instead of using PWM to get the information across, it's actually using a new protocol to do the signaling instead of use Dshot to do the signal.
Underscore FPV raises a good point. He says, someone should reinvent SPI by some other name and claim the new 50 megabit per second ESC speed record. Yeah, when I've heard of full digital ESCs in the past, I've heard of people doing ESCs that use the I2C protocol, which is a standard high-speed serial protocol that's used. For example, your gyro, I think, is typically I2C or I2C. And the other one is SPI, and that's often used on flight controllers to access the black box logging, the SD card or the flash chip. Why? I mean, I don't know if you know the answer, Blunty, but why not just make an I2C ESC? Why invent a brand new protocol?
I'm not 100% sure, but I would guess it's because there's bloat on some of those other protocols. One of the things he talks about is that the PWM has to be converted. So when it gets back to the ESC, there is a delay where that conversion happens from the PWM signal to the digital signal. And that delay will not be there. So even though technically it runs at about a Dshot 1200 speed with this new S2M, you'll actually get faster response than even Dshot 2400 would be, because the motors, like the ESCs, can see the actual value faster.
Yeah, and that has consistently been a driving design goal of at least the Fettec team, possibly also the Alex's branch, which is reducing the delay between the motors and the flight controller. That's one of the arguments why Dshot 2400 is desirable. And I've heard people say that you should use Dshot 2400 over KISS one wire, because KISS one wire puts all of the ESC signals one after the other, whereas Dshot 2400 sends them in parallel, and therefore there's less delay if using Dshot. I don't think anyone would argue that decreasing the delay to the motors is a good thing. I think the big question is, are we at a point of diminishing returns and crossing over into marketing land?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know that that's something we can know without logging it and knowing for sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when One Shot came out and most people watching this probably don't know what One-Shot is, because most people probably got into the hobby more recently than that. But we used to use PWM to drive the ESCs just like they were servos, which has horrific latency and horrific resolution, and quadcopters flew like shit. And they came out with One-Shot, which was basically just a higher speed PWM signal. And one of the original developers of Baseflight, Timecop, said it was a waste of time, and you couldn't possibly need whatever milliseconds latency because the human brain can't respond that fast. The same argument we hear today when arguing about camera latency and receiver latency. It's the same damn argument. And in that case, he was clearly wrong. But there is a point where you reach diminishing returns and you don't see a benefit. And I think it's hard to know where that is until you've passed it and then gone, oh, this was a waste of time.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We don't have it on the roundup or on the news, but one thing we talked about a little bit before this is that UAV Tech did a series recently on PID loop rate, and it was testing PID loop rates, because he's talked for a while about how it probably doesn't matter, but we should test it. Obviously he wants to test everything. And I was the same idea. If you draw more points on a line, at some point you're not getting the line's the same shape, right?
Right.
And so his testing on 2K, 4K, and 8K at the same, logging rates and different logging rates and stuff. He did multiple tests, and all of them showed that at 8K he had less PID error than at 4K and less PID error than at 2K. And I thought that was pretty surprising. And I don't know. So I would like to see more testing of this realm, less latency to the ESCs and stuff. I want to see on the chart it not matter. You know what I mean? That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, whether it matters or not, we need data. We need data. Yes. I mean, I do think Mad Max FPV says all latency is worth chasing. I disagree. Like, if you go from 25 milliseconds down to 15 milliseconds, that matters. If you go from 15 to 8, that matters. But if you go from 2 to 1, despite the fact that you've cut the latency in half, I'm skeptical that it matters. And if you go from 1 to 0.1, I really don't think it matters. There is a point where you've reached the point of diminishing returns and you're no longer getting gains. Yeah.
I mean, and like we talked about before, likely with control link and video and stuff, it will vary across the spectrum of pilots too.
For sure.
So,
yeah, the big argument here with the motor protocol latency is that the props can only change speed so fast due to the fact that they have mass, and mass has inertia. And I forget the number, but I remember when we started getting RPM feedback from the motors via bidirectional Dshot, guys like UAV Tech and Ryan Harrell looked at black box logs to see how fast the motors were changing speed. And the number I remember was like 8 milliseconds. That the motors approximately, it's like having a low pass filter at an 8 millisecond delay. And it suggested that having protocols that ran faster than that didn't have a point. But people have been saying that for a long time and been proven wrong. So it'll be very interesting to see how this new protocol from Fettec pans out.
Sure.
Will they be sharing it with the world like they did with Dshot?
I don't know. I do not know.
Okay. I mean, if it only exists in a Fettec flight controller and nowhere else, it'll be hard to A/B test it.
True.
All right.
And then one thing I wanted to mention real quick while we're here is just that in that imager link, they did say that they are going to backport as much as they can to F7, and then they are going to keep supporting the KISS side as well. So it looks like they're going to be doing like a Fettec KISS branch sort of thing. And then Fettec GUI will be how you configure the Fettec side, like we've talked about before, like we've always wanted. If you're going to do the Fettec thing, just do it and give us all the configuration, which I'm happy with. So I think everybody's still getting supported there, but there will be kind of like a branching thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big question that I will be interested to see. If this new high-speed protocol only runs on the G4 processor, then that will be the thing I was asking for when I said, if you're going to sell me the G4 and act like it's got a benefit, show me something that only it can do, and then I'll believe you. But Fettec really can't win this one with me. Sorry, Fettec. Either you backport this new protocol to the F7 processors, and I go, see, there was no point to the G4. Or it only exists on the G4, and I go, yeah, well, why can't I have it on an F7? And whine. But
innovation.
Anyway.
That's why.
Yeah. You can't win. I'm going to whine no matter what you do. Don't try to please me. I will just whine about something else. That's the takeaway here. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move into the realm of weird shit that flies.
Yeah.
That's how I sum up
Absolutely.
these next couple.
All right. Let's see. So we're going to look at a flexible, foldable monocopter.
Pacific Northwest pilots, if you think we should cover that, send it to news@fpvknowitall.com.
I mean, we've talked about that many weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Blunty. I interrupted.
Yeah. I just thought this was a pretty neat little concept. They were like, what can we do with a foldable drone?
How the hell can this thing fly? Look at this. Look, here it is. This is the money shot right here. What in the ever living? He's flying it. He's controlling it. It's stable. That's a landing, such as it is. Can you believe this? Who did this?
Awesome.
Who did this? How did they do this?
Yeah, I thought this was really neat. Got sent this by a couple of folks this week. Obviously a monocopter we're looking at, but a monocopter with a wing that rotates. Yeah, pretty neat. The Singapore University of Technology and Design. That's where this came from.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Pretty cool.
I mean, everybody should just go check out this whole video, but that's insane. Like, I can't think what the application is for it because, of course, you can't have a camera unless you had a 360 cam that was doing some kind of electronic stabilization. I don't know. It's just a single prop blowing this wing around. Here we got a test.
Yeah, he mentions like maybe like a 360 cams or something, but also one thing he talks about is like, LiDAR and stuff already spins, right? So maybe you could just put LiDAR sensors on it or something, or like, I don't know.
Insane. This is really
because
crazy.
LiDAR, you just need to know the RPM, and then you do the analysis based on that. Like, I think you could probably just slap a LiDAR sensor on there.
Wow. That is really something. That is really something. I will never stop being amazed at the things people make fly.
Pretty cool.
Next one up is a balloon drone, and this one flies. It doesn't even have props, right, Blunty?
Yeah, so on the sides there are what they call their blade-free motors, and essentially they're vibrating at really high frequency to push air and propel this little thing around.
So it's buoyant with
yes.
whatever, helium, right?
Yep.
And then it doesn't have props. It just kind of uses these little ultrasonic motors to blow air like puffers.
Yeah, and they make a great point. These are like excellent for like if you're at a festival or something, like, or you're like, there's so many places this would be amazing for, like just throwing over people because there's no danger here, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's been omitted for a long time, the potential for buoyant aircraft, because of course if you lose a motor, it doesn't matter. You're just floating. And
Sure.
this one doesn't have props or motors or anything.
But also you don't have the sound, right? So that's the like you have this like you have a very like a high pitched like a little bit of a high pitched whine, but that dies off pretty quickly at a distance.
Right. So you could carry. I mean, what's the payload capacity? I guess it's infinite because you just have a bigger balloon to lift the camera.
Right.
Oh, that is something. That is really something.
I mean, I could totally see these flying around overhead at a concert, and nobody would bat an eye, And
yeah, I mean, add some stabilization, maybe even add a gimbal, and put your Komodo in the air and shoot footage with it. And there's no flight time limit either, because it's buoyant.
Yeah,
this is it. We're gonna see camera drones using this similar technology. Why are there no balloon camera drones now?
Yeah, very wind affected, but you could tether it or something too.
Maybe for indoor use.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't see a lot of... Nobody is doing camera drones with balloons. I'm kind of surprised now that I think about it. They could fly forever.
Yeah.
No run out of battery. I mean, put props on it. Who cares?
Right.
Why is... Rotor Riot, new episode idea. Sean, get on this. Why wouldn't you... Not for a freestyle drone, that's why Rotor Riot hasn't done it, but for like a camera drone, like a Free Fly Alta, etc., carrying a big heavy camera. Why not have, it doesn't fly, I guess they fly pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, if you put props on the top and bottom, you could probably power loop a balloon, right?
Alrighty.
All right.
Next up, we have what might be the cool. Can we say, by the way, Evan Turner, I am so glad he graduated high school and started working for FPV for a living, because he's done so many cool freaking things. 533 Racing, Tiny Trainer, and now Freedom Spec Racing. He has put together what might be the ultimate drone race.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So they are, you can buy tickets. They are doing a drone race for up to 60 pilots in Costa Rica. So they are doing in Barranca, Costa Rica on February 5th and 6th. They are doing an invitational, not an invitational, rather, a buy your way in, Freedom Spec race. So this is where you fly 3S batteries. So it's like a normal racing quad, but 3S batteries to limit you. So everybody's
kind of got the spec right here.
Yeah.
But basically, you use the FPV, the 533 motors, 1960 kV, but you fly them on 3S, not 6S. So it forces you to go slower. Except these guys really aren't slower, are they?
No, but they're capping out that throttle way more than a normal race. So, like, it's pretty cool because then, you're not getting slammed by the people who can go so fast, and it's more about skill and picking lines and stuff. I think it's pretty neat. But one of the cool things about this is that currently confirmed already, we have Min Chan Kim, MCK. A lot of people know MCK. Evan Turner is obviously going to be there. It's 533.
Sold.
Alex Vanover has confirmed he'll be there. Amari has confirmed from DRL he'll be there.
Sold.
Ivan Evimoth and Sean Ames are all confirmed to be there, and then a bunch more people are signing up now. So this looks like it'll be one of the best races we've ever seen, because we've never seen MCK race against these American pilots. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think Evan has raced MCK before in South Korea, but it's been a while. MCK doesn't seem to get out as much. So like you go to IO, you go to International Open, you go to MultiGP Nats, and you're like, I want to see these top pilots race him. You see him on YouTube, and he's like the fastest ever. So, no, not Machine Gun Kelly, Colby Z. MCK, not MGZ, MGK. Is it going to be, I mean, if you're not in the race, can you just go to Costa Rica and watch these guys fly? I mean, surely it's open to spectators, right?
I would assume so. I'm not sure. I don't know that there's information here about spectators, but I would imagine that there's a way to go.
BMS Thomas, Raven 187, you're right. We need to have like the ultimate showdown of the top racing pilots. BMS Thomas certainly should be on that list. 1IO, wow, that was a long time ago. Never mind.
Chris Ledford says they've sold 38 of 60 tickets. So
that's really something. That's really something. And it's in freaking Costa Rica too. So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Evan Turner, three-time multi-GP champion, one-time DRL champion.
Yeah.
I feel like there are people in this world that I look at and I go, how are you successful at such a young age? You son of a, when I was your age, I mean, I love him, but also I kind of want to cuss at him a little bit. Like until now, Tyler Brennan has been the top of that list for me, because he's a fighter pilot and he owns race day quads, and he's so successful. And I feel like Evan Turner's, like, it used to be he was like a 14, 15-year-old kid, and I'd go, oh, he's fast, but he's just a little kid. Who cares? Now, can't do that anymore. He's just becoming incredibly successful. And
yeah.
I have no complaints, I guess.
All right.
Alrighty.
So in February, that's going to be exciting. Good stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty. What's next, Blunty?
All right. This is going to be pretty exciting for some people. Liftoff and DRL have both finally added real transmitter support for PlayStation consoles. So PS4 and PS5, you can now use any of your transmitters, your FreeSky transmitters, and most of your jumpers and your Radio Masters will all now hook up to your PS4 and PS5 and work on DRL and liftoff.
Nice. I talked to some of the devs over at Liftoff, and without getting into too many details, basically, Microsoft is just like, no.
Yeah.
It's not happening for Xbox. Now, there is an adapter. The Titan 2 adapter is a third-party device that lets you hook up any sort of HID-compliant controller, joystick, including your controller, and make it act like an Xbox controller. It is technically a little bit challenging to set it up, and it is not as good as a native controller, but people have told me that they've used the Titan 2 to play Liftoff and other sims on Xbox, and it works acceptably for them. It's like $100, so you really got to want it. And the devs point out that they cannot and will not officially recommend it or endorse it, but I can tell you that that is a thing that's working for some people. But if you got a PlayStation, you just have official support. So one for Sony.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Great. All righty. Next up, we've got a new mobile game from DRL, the Drone Racing Arcade. And Blunty, I don't know anything about this except, like I said, I showed up at 5:30 and you said, here's the news items for this week. So Drone Racing Arcade on mobile. It's going to be like a drone racing sim. Maybe it's more like arcadey, kind of like, like instead of like a sim racing game, like an arcade racing game, but it's like a drone racing game with DRL sponsorship on mobile, right? Let's take a look.
I guess you could call it a drone racing game.
Well, what's there to... Here we go. Drone Racing Arcade by DRL. What is it, Blunty?
Well, you ever heard of Temple Run?
It's Temple Run.
Yeah. Or any of these other runners.
Or Subway Run. It's a runner.
Yeah, it's a runner.
I can't decide if I'm mad or impressed. It's not a drone racing simulator.
I got to tell you one thing. Is why would you do this in portrait? Like,
that's just
I just don't. The whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. But like, at least do landscapes and like. But the whole thing just looks ridiculous. It's just simple.
Powered by Skills. That's the engine they used to shit out this game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download
on the Android store.
It's not on the Android store? How do I get it?
You have to download their APK.
Oh, dead to me.
On Android.
Dead to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to download your freaking APK. Get on the store. Get on the store. I don't want to sideload your APK. MK points out they don't advertise it as a sim, and landscape one-handed gaming is popular.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to take the DRL Arcade Racer, and I'm going to get the Orca adapter that lets me HDMI my phone into my goggles, and I'm going to play those together with my Rotor Riot game controller.
There you go.
And I'm going to have the ultimate FPV experience.
Good Lord.
All right. Whatever. Great. People could get DRL's whole MO is to get drone racing to the masses. If you make a crappy mobile game and that helps you do it, more power to you. More power to you.
Yeah. I don't know. That's about. Yes.
What do you? Come on, Blunty. Don't hold back.
Seems more like, hey, we know people spend money on these things. Let's make one.
No. Does it have in-app transactions? Does
if it doesn't, I'd be freaking blown away. There's no way they don't.
Oh, I gotta. Hang on. What time? 6:54. I gotta. It says download on Android App Store. It says download on Android App Store. Hold on.
Yeah, but there's a reason it doesn't say Play Store. Okay.
DRL Drone Duels. That's not it though. DRL Drone Duels. No. Okay, so It says download. Oh, it says on iOS App Store, but then it just says play on Android. I see. It's not a. Okay, so let me get the QR code. I'm going to download this AP. Okay, go to games.skills.com. Drone Racing Arcade. It's the Skills App Store. It's some third-party app store that no one's ever heard of that's probably going to give me a... Oh, on their app store, 2.5 star reviews. Ratings and reviews. 1 5-star rating. I love Drone Racing League. When I first watched it, this app is great, yada, yada, yada. Let's see. 5 stars. I foolishly thought this was like a mini version of the computer sim, but it is only a flying version of obstacle avoidance game. Install app to review it. Okay, I'm going to install the app. If I have to log in, then this whole thing is over. Are you 18 or older? Yes. Am I installing the app?
There's a crypto thing going on here for sure. I mean, I promise you that.
What does this have to do with crypto?
It says safe and secure withdrawals. That's one of the screenshots on Skills. There's credit cards and it says safe and secure withdrawals. So something's going on.
Oh my God! It's the Algorand tie-in. How did I miss this?
Yeah.
Algorand, this company that invested in DRL, is a crypto company.
That's my. I mean, looking at that, you can show.
Avoid obstacles and collect coins. Oh my God, this is a crypto scam. Jesus, how did I not see it? It's a crypto scam.
It's definitely PayPal, Visa, MasterCard. They're all listed.
I am definitely getting a virus. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Drone Racing Arcade installed. Tap here to open it.
Mo says they promise cash payout.
Made with Unity. So it's made with Unity. All professional games made. Okay, here we go. Drone selection. When do I put my credit card in? See, they're going to let me play for free to begin with. Launch.
I'd like to know what they're like. What's the game? You know, how do you get it out?
We're going to find out right here on the news. Where else can you get this content?
People in chat are saying, do you think you're mining for crypto while you're playing the Temple Run?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Should I allow it to access my photos, media, and files? I mean, I guess I'm gonna. For you guys, I will.
Yeah, but also, why does it...
Go ahead.
I just wonder why it needs your photo, media, and files.
I mean, some apps need weird permissions for no reason.
Yeah, true.
It's got a user sign in. It wants me to pick a name and avatar. All right, I'm going to pick a name and avatar. I mean, it wants me to sign in. Two prizes guaranteed. Begin match now. I'll start a practice game. You will be matched to an opponent who plays at the same level. I wish I could share my screen with you guys, but I can't. So here we go. Here, we'll do it like this. Do I tap? What do I do? You have 3 lives per match. Fly 2 complete laps and rake points along the way. Next. Tap the screen to turbo. Touch and slide the screen to steer. Collect coins to get points. Okay, player with the most points wins the match. Okay, what am I doing? I can't steer. Okay, oh, I see. I got to keep my fingers on the screen. Where's the coins? Coins! I'm crashing. I crashed out. What now? Okay, that's it. Match over. All right, that was a great success. Nice score. Enable push notifications so we can alert you when an opponent is ready. You see where this is going. So they're going to pair you with other people. You're going to win prizes. When do you take my money? That's clearly this is...
Or why is there cash coming out of this thing? I'd like whatever part of this.
Well, there's a shopping cart at the bottom of the window. So tap the play button to play another match. Hold on. We're going to figure this out. Tap begin match now. I'm searching for an opponent. This opponent is also not a person, I guarantee you. None of these are actual real people. This is all done on the computer, and it's faking you out into thinking you're having interactions with real people. Because I guarantee you there aren't enough people playing this game for me to just be matchmaking right now.
Is this like Forza, where you get a drivatar? It's like a drone attack?
I mean, obviously I'm speculating. I don't know for sure, but I believe it's unlikely that I'm actually racing against a real person right now. So I'm getting better at the game. I'm getting points. So now let's crash out and finish the match. Okay, crash. I crashed. I'm done. When do they try to take my money? Or is it mining crypto in the background right now? But the whole point of like Algorand, if they're a crypto scam, the whole way you do a crypto scam is you make a shitcoin and then you convince other idiots to buy your shitcoin. You don't need me to mine your shitcoin. You need me to exchange my cash for your shitcoin, right? Is that how crypto scams work?
Sure. At some point, yeah. But we got to build value in it for sure.
I mean, tricking me into mining Bitcoin is taking established value and transferring it to yourself. But if Algorand has made a new coin, me mining it, I mean, I guess if a whole bunch of people are mining it, people will see that. What is in my... add cash to play for real money.
There we go.
There we
so
go.
You're gambling against another person, or
choose your best deposit amount.
So you're gambling. It's a gambling game.
I mean, why would I... DRL. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Have you been like on a crack bender for the last month and now you're out of money? And this is your moment where you're at the sleazy hotel trying to get more crack, and Algorand, you see them.
Somebody pointed out earlier that it's likely not on the Play Store because they take their cut. So it's not you know, you have. And
they probably have rules about real world transactions that this app is probably breaking.
Mo says no in-app purchases in iOS version. I wonder if it's only the Android version, so they can't get the cut taken on the iOS version. Yeah, interesting.
Wow, that was way sleazier. I thought it was just going to be a shitty mobile game. It was so much more than that.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to put this on the news because I thought it was just some garbage game, and then it turns out they're trying to take your money. Crabtree says, why not make an FPV gambling game? Yeah, why not? Jeez. All right.
Why does
you gotta clean your phone?
It's done. I'll never get rid of this. I'm mining Algorand from now on. Rate this app 1 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Let's move on.
All right, let's move on. To the rant.
Okay.
All right. So Beta FPV has released another product, the Micro TX arc reactor. The new fancy looking Micro TX, white Micro TX from Beta FPV for ExpressLRS.
Picture of it up here for you. This is it. Oh, so sexy. I mean, this is a good looking module. Let's just give it that, Blunty.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
It is reasonably well built too. I have one. The plastic is solid. It doesn't feel all creaky and shitty. But why are we ranting about it then?
Unfortunately, there's quite a few issues with this. One of the main, basically this all comes down to the fact that there was no communication made with the developers of ExpressLRS, like a lot of these other companies do, like we started the show with. You know, we talked about Naminmo talking to the devs and giving them modules ahead of time. Beta FPV seems to have gone the opposite way and has gotten a bunch of modules out there before communicating with the devs. And they're even saying stuff like, hey, we're constantly we're talking to the devs and trying to figure this out. And you know, the devs are like, nobody's contacted us.
Well, it goes deeper than that, because this code this OLED screen that they've got is not supported by the ExpressLRS main code branch. Beta FPV has a separate GitHub repo where they've done the work to support this OLED screen, and they have not actually like merged it back, have they? That's what I've heard. Is that true?
Well, I believe, I'm not sure this specific issue. I think they said they merged it, but it wasn't didn't show up anywhere in the pull requests. And then, you know, the big issue here is that even the fact that they did the code themselves, they didn't get that code right. So,
Beta FPV?
You know, it's crazy, isn't it?
They didn't get it right?
Basically, the thing that looks like a joystick on the back, which they do not use as a joystick, it doesn't scroll up, down, left, or right. You click to go down, and then you hold the button to change the setting that you're on.
To be clear, it is a joystick physically. It has up, down, left, right contacts.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
However,
they just didn't use it as such.
Yeah. However, the big thing is if you click in that button to go into the Lua script, like the information on the back of that module, your drone fail-safes. Or basically the RX connection drops from the TX and totally drops until that screen times out and closes, and then the connection comes back again.
Yeah.
So if you accidentally hit that in flight, let's say, you would immediately fail safe and drop out of the air.
Yeah. Now, I will add that you have to long press the button. And the fact that they didn't implement it as a joystick means that 4 of the 5 directions that joystick goes don't cause your quad to fail safe. So some would say
Yeah.
you have to but if you're like, hey, I'm going to switch from 150 hertz to 250 hertz. Hold on. And you flip your radio over and you push the button. Obviously, you're not going to do that while you're flying. Probably. I mean, I guess if you're flying long range, maybe you would.
Yeah, but if you set it on your lap or something, like I could definitely see like bumping it with a knee or something. Like it's not out of the realm. You know?
I mean, let's just stipulate that even though it's not a likely scenario to cause a problem, your modules shouldn't fail safe when you go into the configuration menu. Like, why are we even arguing about this?
Right, exactly. Just to be clear, Brandon says they did not tell us about it until they shipped modules, and they have not started an official pull request. Brandon made the initial pull, but we did not include OLED because we're working on the mini system. That'll be an ELRS 2.1. So, you know, the devs just would have wanted them to work with them, you know, instead of just pushing something out that was broken. You know? So
the devil's advocate side of this is that it's an open source project that anyone can fork and anyone can modify. And if Beta FPV wants to make their own branch and with their own proprietary OLED, that is just fine. But 2 things are wrong with that. One is that the user base is not used to thinking about control links like they think about flight control firmware. They're used to Crossfire being Crossfire and Tracer being Tracer and Ghost being Ghost and FreeSky being a big mess. And ExpressLRS so far has been 100% the same code base. And Beta FPV has just been like, yeah, we got this. And then number 2, they don't got this. Their module has all kinds of problems.
Right. You know, I think if this worked all fine and they were just not talking, then it wouldn't necessarily even be a story or an issue. But the fact that they're not talking and they're not doing anything correctly, you know, and the merges are not showing up when they talked about pulling a pull request publicly somewhere, you know, there's a lot of issues with their communication. And I think this is like on top of, I just want to bring up a couple other situations. You know, they released an AIO a little while back, an ERS AIO, and that took 4 devs hours working with them after they had released it and had connection issues before, you know, basically after the fact, 4 devs had to sit and mop that up with them for multiple hours trying to fix it because they didn't come in ahead of time, you know.
And this is really reminding me of BL Heli 32. BL Heli, the BL Heli was originally a firmware for ESCs. It was optimized for helicopters, in case you've ever wondered why it's called BL Heli. And then it started being used by multi-rotor pilots because it was also good for multi-rotors. And then we got BL Heli S. And until BL Heli 32, BL Heli was completely open source. And everybody would make BL Heli ESCs because the same reason people make ExpressLRS hardware now, because the open source devs do all the work for you. And then you just make the hardware and put the software on it. And the BL Heli devs kept getting support requests from manufacturers who put out defective hardware and spent hours and hours of their life doing it. And finally, when they released BL Heli 32, they said, this is not open source anymore, and you have to pay us a licensing fee in order to put out hardware. And it's not because they're money-grubbing assholes. In fact, for the longest time, people were begging to donate to the BL Heli project, and the devs refused and said, we just want to do it. But it was the hours and hours of support time with manufacturers who did shitty things and needed help to bail them out that finally put them over the edge. And it certainly makes you wonder where the ExpressLRS project is going to end up.
Yeah. Just another example, I just like, while we're calling them out, I want to say, also, you know, we talked a little while back about that Light Radio 2 SE, you know, that has the internal ExpressLRS module, you know, that was released without any of the code being released, and that was a GPL violation at release, you know. There's a lot of like, it's not even just like, hey, you don't communicate. It's like, hey, you don't communicate and publish things legally and release good hardware and make proper decisions. And like, there's just so many pieces to the puzzle. It's like, it's just unfortunate. And it's like, I'm not even like yelling angry. I'm just like sad about it, you know?
Well, and the sad thing is that there's no reason for Beta FPV to be doing these things. It's not like the ExpressLRS devs are not accessible and not willing to help. These guys are so dedicated to making ExpressLRS successful. And I think that they recognize that having manufacturers making hardware for their project is valuable, and they value it. And they want to work with manufacturers to ensure that manufacturers are putting out good hardware. And I don't know why. I can't think of a good reason why a manufacturer like Beta FPV would just be pushing hardware out there without, I mean, why wouldn't you let the guys who know the project best at least look at your damn product and go, hey guys, you missed this.
And acting like they're in contact and acting like they're working with them when they're not, which is also like just extremely concerning, I think, for anybody who wants to use those products, you know?
Well, and as Mouse FPV says in the Discord, the risk here is that it gives ExpressLRS a bad name, which is tricky because when you buy a, I'm not going to name a manufacturer. When you buy a brand X flight controller and it dies on you, you don't say Betaflight sucks. You say brand X sucks mostly. Some people do say Betaflight sucks. We're going to KISS. We're going to, because they make good hardware. I mean, it does happen. But generally, you blame the manufacturer of the hardware. And I don't think that's how people think about control links. They say ExpressLRS sucked, or they will say. And I don't know what the ExpressLRS devs can do to prevent that. They're not giving, the manufacturers aren't taking money from them. They're taking money from their customers. Like, what's the leverage of the ExpressLRS devs to say, release good hardware and stop release, other than just, that you hope that the companies want to make good products?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is just like, this is not a supported thing with our stuff, so people won't buy it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just unfortunate because it's going to have that branding on it, even though it's not like with it. We talked a bit about EdgeTX partnering, doing the partner deals with FlySky and RadioMaster. It's kind of a similar idea, right? So you can slap a logo that says, hey, we're working with them. Yeah,
right. Jory in the Discord says the leverage is that we don't roll your hardware into the updater. That's a good point.
Sure.
They don't have to put your hardware in the updater. I do think it would be, I mean, far be it from me to tell anyone else what to do. What I usually do is whine and rant and beg and plead when I want something done. But if you look at what the EdgeTX team has done, where they say these people are working with us, and in fact, the EdgeTX team is getting paid by some of these companies, for their work. And that's neither here nor there. But just to have a sort of a certified program where the ExpressLRS team says this hardware is, I don't know.
Yeah, touched by a dev or something, like whatever it would be.
Even then, it's not going to be perfect. This stuff moves so fast. Something is going to slip through. Batch 1 will be good. Batch 2 will have a defect.
Sure. At least somebody's paying attention. I think that's the biggest thing, is like that somebody's like paying attention and at least checking this stuff.
Yeah. The people in the Discord who are close to the ExpressLRS project are saying that's not really their spirit, that they want it to be just an open spirit.
I will 100% tell you, everyone I've talked to over there does not want to do that at all. They want to keep it open as possible, and no partnerships and all that stuff. And just have it be super open and everybody do the development, and I don't know, that seems to be the attitude I've seen over there many times. I mean,
I respect that. So, but a consequence of that is going to be that some manufacturers will make shit products with your name on it, and customers will blame you.
So here's a question. If they do something where they say, hey, okay, your hardware's not in our thing, we're going to tell people we don't support your hardware because you're not following our stuff, and all of our expresslrs.org and all of our project is going to say we don't support your product, how much does that actually hurt ExpressLRS? Because nobody's making money anyway. So a few people are not going to be able to use it, and there might be some bad stigma, but if 90% of the hardware works properly, most people are flying it correctly, and it's so open source anyway, you kind of got to dig and find information about it. I don't know. I kind of go both sides on this, because I totally get the point of standardization, but I also get the point of hey, this is so open and so many people are working with us that we're just going to prove it by showing you how much good hardware there is.
It depends, I think, on what the goals and desires of the ExpressLRS team and devs are. And of course, there is no monolithic, there's a bunch of people who all have their own dreams and goals and desires. It's not just one like any project, right? So that statement is inherently flawed. But I'll speak for myself. I have enjoyed seeing ExpressLRS gain more mainstream awareness. I think it's a good product, a good project, a good product, and I think that FPV as a whole is better for it being out there. So I would love to see more beginners, more noobs who would buy a FrSky receiver, a D8 receiver on their tiny whoop. I'd rather see them flying ExpressLRS. I think they're going to be happier in the long term. They'll get better performance, and I think that that's desirable. And if that's your desire, then you can't just say we're going to make the product and we're going to hand solder our own boards and they're going to be fine, and whatever anybody else does is up to them, because lots of people will not do the research necessary to find out that, Gen 3 of product X has a bug, or that the beta, they're just going to buy ExpressLRS and then be mad and confused when it doesn't work.
Yeah. I just wonder if they're going to be mad at the vendor or at the protocol. Like how much of that goes on the vendor, how much of that goes on the protocol, and how much of that, again, matters because there's no bottom line anybody's affecting. So
Exactly.
This project was made to hey, let's have a good race link that everybody can use that wants to use it. And then it slowly expands into all these people pushing stuff about it. So I don't know that. I don't know that the whole thing is vehemently trying to get everyone running ExpressLRS. I think it's making the best link possible and letting people use it.
If that's ultimately,
I'm not a dev either, but that's my understanding.
If you're a dev and you're working for free, which many of them are, then you have to do it for whatever reason gets you out of bed in the morning. And if you don't care about the commercial success of the product, then just do whatever the hell you want and let the vendors do whatever the hell they want. But I think that a lot of the devs do care about the commercial success because, as you said, they spent 4 hours on the phone with Beta FPV trying to solve this problem. If they didn't care about the commercial success of the product, they would have been like, good luck, Beta FPV. We're fine over here. Don't waste our time. And they didn't do that. And that's good because they care. I think they care about their users. And whether these people are their customers or not, and they're not because they don't make any money, they are their users. And I think that, you care about the people who are using your product, because you can't develop a product like this without thinking a lot about who's using it and how they're going to use it. And so you developed, I develop a relationship with my viewers. When I make a video, I'm thinking about this archetypal viewer who is watching my product. And then you care, you have a relationship with that person. I think that probably happens to open source devs too.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think there's an easy solution there, because it becomes a situation where either somebody's paying or somebody's guaranteeing work without pay, or there's all kinds of pieces, everything now is at least volunteer. But if you start saying hey, these are certified and they're not paying anything, so nobody's getting paid for the work that they are guaranteeing they'll do for the company, that's starts to get strange. So
Yep. Captain Bryce says, we don't care about commercial success. We care about making people happy. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And sharing something great. Yeah.
Sharing something great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, the takeaway has to be, and this is something that anyone who makes content or talks about ExpressLRS, the takeaway has to be that ExpressLRS is something that you have to educate yourself on a little bit more. And I think that's certainly true. That's not a surprise. I don't think very many people are just buying ExpressLRS and expecting it to work out of the box. So, all righty. Well, God bless you, ExpressLRS. This is a good problem to have.
Indeed.
It means you're successful. And that's going to bring us to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good show. I think that was a pretty good show.
Indeed. Thank you guys so much for coming out and watching. I hope you will subscribe if you like this content. We do it every week, and every week it gets better and better, so don't miss the next one. Every week for continuous improvement.
Don't forget to reach out to news@fpvknowitall.com. It's always here on the screen if you forget what it is, and that's where we take all your news, and we'll run it through the old news filter and post it here if people need to see it. And then also don't forget to shoot down there and hit that thumbs up button on this video. We've still got the like counter showing, so we're happy to let it go up. And then, yeah, leave a comment after this is over. That would always be appreciated. So
Yeah.
thanks so much.
And there is also a link to my live stream clips channel. People said, you keep plugging the live stream clips channel. We can't find it. I have put a link to the live stream clips channel down in the video description, and I've renamed it from JB. Apparently there's someone else out there who's more famous than me with the initials JB.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber. So JB live stream clips was not actually really helping. I changed it to Joshua Bardwell live stream clips.
Yeah. Personally, when I search for it, I type Bardwell clips and that comes right up. So perfect.
Oh, anyway, I've renamed it. So anyway, love to have you subscribe over there and over here. But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We will see you next week. Happy flying, everybody.
Thanks a lot.